a startling discovery made by using a new type of telescope. Invisible terrestrial entities with intelligent movement. Intelligent movement observed with new telescope. So what are they doing? A new report published in the latest edition of the American Journal of Modern Physics has revealed a startling finding. A newly developed telescope with concave lenses has observed for the first time entities in our terrestrial environment that are invisible to our eyes and to conventional Galileo telescopes with convex lenses. So this new telescope has not a convex but a concave lens. Even more surprising is the fact that these entities have been observed to move intelligently, quote unquote, in the night sky in a manner suggesting unauthorized surveillance of the area. Revolutionary new santilli telescope. The discovery was made by Dr. Ruggero Santilli, a highly regarded expert in mathematics, cosmology, and physics, who has been nominated for Nobel Prizes in physics and chemistry. Dr. Santilli developed a new type of telescope that was designed to observe antimatter light. This form of light has a negative index of refraction, thus requiring concave lenses to focus it, rather than the traditional concave lenses used in conventional Galileo telescopes. So we have the image of the Galileo telescope with concave lens designed to observe ordinary matter light, and on the bottom of that we have the new Santilli telescope with the concave lenses designed to observe antimatter light. And that's how he saw these entities. So using a pair of Galileo and Santilli telescopes, Dr. Santilli found the first known evidence of the apparent existence in our universe of antimatter galaxies, antimatter asteroids, and antimatter cosmic rays. These results were published in the journal Clifford Algebras and their application in 2014, but that's not all the new telescope observed. Listen to this. Detection of invisible terrestrial entities. And I'll quote, on September 5th, 2015, at 9:30 p.m., the author aimed a pair of 100mm Galileo and Santilli telescopes at the night sky over Tampa Bay, Florida, as seen from northeast orientation of the terrace of room 775 of the Vinoy Renaissance Hotel in St. Petersburg. The tests were merely intended for the search of antimatter galaxies, and consequently, the paired telescopes were aimed at the sky, but sudden clouds halted the tests, and the author oriented the pair of telescopes horizontally over Tampa Bay. To his great surprise, unidentified yet clearly visible entities immediately appeared in the screen of the camera attached to the Santilli telescope. Without any enlargement, without the same entities being visible to the naked eye, and without any corresponding image existing in the screen of the camera attached to the Galileo telescope. This unexpected discovery triggered a novel systematic use of the pair of Galileo and Santilli telescopes, this time for the search of entities here called invisible terrestrial entities, ITEs, that are invisible to our eyes as well as to our optical instruments with convex lenses, but are otherwise fully visible via the Santilli telescope with the concave lenses and are located in our terrestrial environment. Invisible terrestrial entities, the first kind, ITE-1. Following his observation, Dr. Santilli carried out systematic tests and observations and came to identify two different types of invisible terrestrial entities, ITEs, though he acknowledged that further types may be identified in the future. Both types have been independently verified by colleagues, and their existence was disclosed for the first time at an invited lecture delivered at St. Petersburg Astronomy Club, September 25, 2015. He identifies the first kind, ITE-1, as entities that, quote, 1, are not visible to the human eye or to conventional optic instruments with convex lenses, but are otherwise fully visible via Santilli telescopes with concave lenses. 2. They exist in our terrestrial environment, rather than in deep astrophysical spaces. And 3. They leave dark images in the background of digital cameras attached to santilli telescopes. Dr. Santilli notes that the entities moved slowly and rotated. This particular type of motion excludes impurities in the telescope lens or in the camera as possible interpretations. He further notes that the emission of antimatter light does not mean that the entity is made up of antimatter, because the existence of the entities within our atmosphere would imply a cataclysmic explosion due to matter-antimatter annihilation. Quote, in short, end quote, writes Dr. Santilli, quote, it appears that ITE-1 consists of matter entities in our terrestrial environment achieving locomotion via the acquisition of antimatter in their interior with consequential use of matter-antimatter propulsion, and achieve invisibility via the emission of antimatter light as a source of exhaust. And we have photographs of ITEs, left and middle, captured by Dr. Santilli in the night sky over Tampa, Florida, September 5th, 2015, and the right, captured by Kate Berkman in the night sky over St. Petersburg, Florida, September 20th, 2015. Now, invisible terrestrial entities of the second kind, ITE-2. He defines the second kind, ITE-2, as entities that, 1, are not visible to the human eye or to conventional optic instruments with convex lenses, but are otherwise fully visible via santilli telescopes with concave lenses. 2, they exist in our terrestrial environment rather than in deep astrophysics space. And 3, they leave bright images on the background of digital cameras attached to santilli telescope. Unlike the ITE-1s, which leave dark images caused by a type of light equivalent to antimatter light, ITE-2s appear to be composed of matter that leave bright images caused by ordinary light, which possesses invisibility due to the conversion of their index of refraction from a positive to a negative value. Dr. Santilli notes that the ITE-2s were pulsating and moving systematically backward and forward, suggesting they were, quote, conducting unauthorized surveillance of the Tampa area solely visible with the santilli telescope, thus confirming the need for systematic views of sensitive civilian, industrial, and military installations. Photograph of an ITE-2 showing its movement. The entity consisted of lights of different colors that are pulsating and move synchronously according to a complex trajectory during the 15th second of exposure, including a point in which motion stopped for a few seconds to resume thereafter. So this it seems to have intelligence as well, as you can understand. Now, in his report published in the American Journal of Modern Physics, Dr. Santilli explains the significance and potential applications of this revolutionary discovery. He says, the writing of this paper has been motivated by the fact that ITE-1 and ITE-2 behave in a manner strongly suggesting the conduction of unauthorized surveillance of our sensitive civilian, industrial, and military installations, thus warranting their societal knowledge. On scientific grounds, the documentation presented in this paper establishes beyond credible doubt the existence of 2 new types of light that are totally outside any possibility of treatment via 20th century physical knowledge. On industrial grounds, the findings presented in this paper establish also beyond credible doubt the utility of santilli telescopes, not only for basically novel astrophysical advances, but also for issues pertaining to personal, industrial, and of course, national security. And this is from Bended Reality. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.